Man, I tell you.
We were talking about the Rangers, and we were talking about the number one over. I said, look, I'm sick and tired of the negativity. Okay, Stroman's opting out. I guarantee you we're going to hear that there's something wrong with Steven Matz's arm. There's something wrong.
Well, let's hope, because him being that bad without being injured is just as alarming as him being injured.
I guarantee he's going on the IL. There's something wrong.
It's just one of those games, right? Just you get that. You look at the box score after you shut it off because you were disgusted, and you see Luis Guillorme being in there. Before the game, you find out about Stroman. I mean, as the Mets, it just, once they built up a little bit of momentum to maybe start to feel a little more positive, of course you have the day that you have. I mean, the conversation was, look, they win a couple games against the Marlins. They're tied for the final playoff spot. They look a little more inspired. Stroman comes back, then you're feeling pretty good about the rotation, or better about the rotation than you did. It looked like they dodged another bullet with Jacob deGrom, because you never know when the trainer comes out there. Things are going okay for them. They're trending in the right direction. And yesterday happens. Now, Marcus Stroman's someone I've always liked. I've talked about how I've liked him. He grew up right around here. And I know that when he says that COVID-19, unlike Yoenis Cespedes, is part of his decision, I believe that it's part of his decision. But I also believe that because he accrued his service time to become a free agent, because the Mets aren't very good and the season has been going the way it's been going, that also factors into his decision. And he has this ability to opt out at any point, and he's doing that. Now, for him, he has given up a decent chunk of change. There is no doubt about it. He is making that sacrifice. But he's also thinking on the back end, like, okay, I'm just coming off an injury. This team isn't very good. I could get sick. I know I'm going to be a free agent, so it's not like I have to go back and pitch. And I'm just going to decide to do this instead. So, I mean, does it annoy me a little bit? I got to be honest, it does a little bit. But it's him. It's his life. I do believe him that coronavirus does affect, it is part of his decision, unlike Cespedes, who I don't think it mattered to him at all because he's out at the Cuban dancing all night long a week before, and then he's at the Roosevelt Field Mall 2 days after he opts out. I mean, that's a guy I don't believe is telling the truth. But, I mean, also, he probably sat down when he had these discussions with his family. He's like, listen, why are we going to go out there for? This team isn't any good. I got this calf injury. What if I go out there, it gets worse? I'm going to give up the money that I have here to hopefully make more in free agency on the back end when the world's a little more normal. So I don't want to be around anymore. So, I mean, but, it's almost like, I would love to see if the Mets had the Yankees record, or the Mets were a team that had super high expectations going into the year to try to chase down a championship. Would he have made the same decision? That's what I'd love to know, and I don't know if we're ever going to know.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing. We're never going to see him in a Met uniform again. And, all that yapping he's been doing since he got here turned out to be a big old nothing. So, look, I can't argue with anybody about opting out. It's their right to do it. And if the leagues want to allow it, and in this case, Major League Baseball does allow it, it's his decision. So good for him and good riddance. You did very little for the Mets. You were a ballyhooed, acquisition by Brody Van Wagenen, knowing, because he knew that Wheeler was going to leave, and he knew that the Mets were not going to pay Wheeler. And so now Wheeler's for the Phillies. One of the trades that you've made turns out to be you got nothing for it. It's another. I think it's another stain on Brody and how he built the team.
I mean, it's tough. I know it,
but it is.
I know what you're saying. I mean, at the time, though, it made more sense to me. Of course, now the way that it played out, and this season being as strange as it is, and players allowing to opt out, and him getting hurt. I mean, this is one of those things that a lot of factors worked against Brody.
He was terrible when he got here, man. It was terrible when he got here.
I wouldn't say terrible.
He was not. I mean, he was not everything that everybody thought he was.
He wasn't very. Yeah, he wasn't good, but he was. I mean, he was average. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't like Steven Matz last night. Terrible.
Steven Matz is hurt. There's something wrong with him. We'll hear about an impingement or something, or tire. We'll hear about something today. I'm telling you.
He stinks.
Yeah, well, he better be hurt, because if you're going to pitch like the way he's been pitching this year, there's got to be something wrong. I don't see him like, at least Paxton, you knew he was coming off of a back injury, and you knew that it was going to take him a while to kind of get his feet underneath him and throw the ball with confidence and all that other stuff. And we saw remnants of that the other night. But Steven Matz has looked horrific the last few times out, and that just tells me that there's something wrong. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's got a calf problem. Maybe he's got a back problem. Maybe he's got a shoulder problem. But, the Marcus Stroman thing, well, it's disappointing because of his personality and all the things that he was talking about, when he came here, and nothing materialized.
Yeah, he gave you nothing. He gave you nothing. He gave you absolutely
nothing. So it's another, and like I said, Gio, you're right. When the trade was made, it did two things for the Mets, I thought. One, it gave the Mets a shot in the arm that, management wasn't giving up. But in the bigger picture of the realities of baseball and what was happening last year for the Mets, Brodie Van Wagenen was trying to protect his staff going into this year, knowing that Wheeler was not going to be here, and this was a good, cheaper alternative because they had one more year of Marcus's contract. But that never worked out, and then Syndergaard getting hurt and Matz pitching like this is not the team that we saw last year from a pitching standpoint.
Right, and I also think that's why these trades, and it's a cumulative effect now with Brodie Van Wagenen, and he's lost the benefit of the doubt with some of these deals that he's made. But this one doesn't fall completely in his lap because, the whole pandemic happened, the 60-game season happened. The thing that I don't like, though, I feel like there's other factors that are involved, and if you're going to do something like this, people always put, well, it's all about the family, and I've got someone with a compromised immune system, I got this, I got that. Knowing Marcus Stroman and how competitive he is, and I will give him some credit for that because he's like just, crazed, chip on his shoulder, wants to go out there, prove everybody wrong. That's the type of guy that he is. If he came back, didn't hurt his calf, was pitching his ass off, and was great going into a contract year, and the Mets were actually a factor, would coronavirus at that point be so dominant in his brain that we'd have to opt? That's the thing I'm saying. So it's like, come on. I get it, and I understand that there's other teams out there that haven't done well, and you don't want to think about getting sick, and that's part of the conversation. But let's get real. You're heading into a contract year. If you were 3-0 right now with a 1.18 ERA, you're not opting out. I'm sorry, you're not. You're thinking big dollars. This team's going somewhere. I run my mouth all the time. People want to challenge me, and now I'm proving them wrong again. It's everything that goes into it. And it's another reason why you feel like the Mets at times, he didn't want to be here. It's another guy who didn't want to be a part of it. And where does that fall? It falls mostly on the individual, but there's also some places that create a better atmosphere for players to want to be in. I don't know, it just seems real easy to turn your back on your teammates and your organization when you're a Met. It really does.
Well, here's the deal. When the Mets sell their team, which will probably come before the end of the year, there'll be a new general manager. There'll be a new way of doing things, and there'll be a new owner. And he'll have to change around whatever. I think internally, with the team that they have now, I think there's a general. I think the guys like each other, and I do think they like playing for the Met fan. From Jimenez to Rosario to McNeil and Davis, and of course Pete Alonso. I think there's a good nucleus of players here. It's just that the pitching staff is now in shambles because of injuries and defections. They basically have Jacob deGrom and nobody else.
Yeah,
that's it.
At this point, it's what they've got. Yeah. So, this is where I've told you before. It keeps going in this direction. I've got no reason to pay attention.
I know. I understand that.
I really know.
And last night I was right there with you because after Juan Soto hit that ball 463 feet, I said, I can't watch this anymore. Right. And you know what? This is just going to ruin my night. And I was having a great night up until the start of that game last night.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. First thing that popped in my mind was, so the Mets have guys opting out, key players for them who haven't gotten sick. Here's Juan Soto, who had coronavirus and just hit a ball to the moon. Had it, came back, and is now doing that. So that's
right.
There you go, right there. And a team that came off a championship last year, by the way.
I know.
What am I doing? What am I doing here? I put on the World's Most Wanted on Netflix right after that. I was like, all right, that's it. This is what I'm watching. See ya. Yeah, talk to you later. Catch my attention somehow, some way, another way, because I got other stuff going on. Just like you did, yes. I got my car towed out of my driveway. I ordered 2 new garage doors. I talked to a roofer. I got stuff going on here. I don't need to see Paul Sewald give up 8 earned runs in a matter of 6 seconds. I don't need to see that. I don't need to. No, thank you. This is me opting out. I have the right to opt out, and I will choose. I will exercise that right.
You're opting out right now, huh? Man, what a disappointment, man. there's got to be something wrong with Matz, right? There has to be.
I mean, he's had these meltdowns before, though, when he's been healthy. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. What's wrong with him is he's not very good, right? And when it takes a lot for him to have a good outing, and then the rest of them are either one or two things. One, he's okay, 5 innings, 6 innings, 4 earned runs, something like that keeps you in the game.
He stinks.
And then he has these meltdown situations. He's just all over the place.